Welcome back, guys. We're going to take a bit of a deep dive into toolbox organization in this video, but specifically pointing towards how do we do that when we have multiple employees and owners working together on the same job sites. What you see behind me are on-site tools for about 3 finish carpenters. And you'll notice that there's symmetry here, and that is because these 3 stacks are all exactly the same. These 3 stacks are exactly the same. These are the same, these are the same, and then I'm missing a couple other stacks that match those that aren't here. You'll notice I've also got 3 sys roll carts exactly the same here as well. I reached a point a couple years ago where I simply could not do it all myself anymore. I had to hire. So I had to ask the question, how am I going to maintain the same level of efficiency and quality that I've had with employees working for me? A big part of the answer to that question was to standardize my tool setups, which is what you see behind me. Because I spent so many years in the field doing the work myself, I know what works and what doesn't for my workflow, and I also spent a tremendous amount of time figuring out how to effectively organize the tools that I use on the job site. One of the foundational principles to successful businesses is the ability to scale. Whether that's a product or a service, if you can scale something, you can be much more profitable. The opposite of scaling is reinventing the wheel every time. And I didn't want to reinvent the wheel with every employee, every new set of tools, everything being different and changing constantly. I wanted to figure out something that works, that's as close to perfect as I can get, and then stick with that and run with it. Here's an example of our drill setups. So basically I can have anybody working for me and we've got the same basic layout. Here we've got DeWalt drills. We happen to try out M12 drills on this setup. Actually, I kind of prefer just to have the full-size DeWalt drills, but this is what we've got as well. Anyways, if we pull out the drill bits, the same layout and setup is the same across all these different tools. So if you need a spade bit, you know exactly where to go. If you need a Phillips bit, you know where to go. It's all standardized. Same thing as we move down here, we've got consumable storage. So whoever is working can go to anybody else's kit and know exactly where everything is at. It's 95% the same across all of our different toolkits. So this really helps us maintain efficiency and profitability on the job site. Outfitting these toolboxes takes time, and I will give a word of caution with customization. It's fun sometimes to customize toolboxes, but it gets old after a while, and I'm at the point in my career where I would much rather pay for customization than have to put time into customization. So in the example like this drawer here, I've got all of these bins. These are really easy to purchase. I can purchase the sustainers and get that up and running relatively quickly with all of this organization. Once we look up here, these top drawers take more time because I'm cutting foam out around all of these different drills to make them fit. So it's a little bit more time to get it up and running. The thing that I like about this is it forces us to put things back exactly where it goes, but it does take time. Many years ago, when I built my first tool kit for myself, I was just working solo, and I found this toolbox insert that worked perfectly in the PACKOUTS sortainers, and I had 2 of them. But then recently I outfitted this additional tower and I no longer knew where to find these, and I just didn't have access. So then I was stuck trying to come up with something else. Ended up putting the PACKOUT dividers in here, and it's working pretty good. It's not quite as good as that, but it's still sufficient. The thing is, I had almost no time, just dropping these little boxes in here. So trying to find ways to do this quickly with products that you can buy off the shelf is crucial. By the way, guys, if you want to see exactly what is in every one of these toolboxes as well as the rest of my van, I've created a spreadsheet that has an inventory of my entire van, organized stack by stack, drawer by drawer, with affiliate links to all the tools. So go down to the video description under this video, click on that link. It'll take you to the spreadsheet that has the lists of all of these tool stacks and the affiliate link to purchase it. Hope that it helps you, and then I get a kickback if you purchase from those links. Be sure to check that out. You'll notice that I have kind of the same philosophy with all of my PACKOUT towers. I have my custom dolly on the bottom here. If you want to know more about that, check out the video I recently posted on how I make this dolly and why it has been such a game changer for my workflow. But basically, I want to have drawers bottom all the way up to the top, and then on the very top, I utilize a toolbox with a lid if I need it. It works better to fit large tools in a toolbox like this. For example, large track saws, you're not going to be able to get those in a drawer. Also over here, cordless tools, not going to be able to get circular saws in a drawer. You'll also notice that these boxes are color coded. So these two stacks here with the white duct tape labels across the front, those are one stack. These are Paul's tools. We've also got green labels here. I recently outfitted these stacks. These are for whenever I have a subcontractor help us or an additional future employee. That's a set right there. And then these tan label stacks, these are mine right there. Taking a look at my organization, first off up here, cordless tools, circular saw, barrel grip coping jigsaw, regular jigsaw, and multi-tool. This is standardized across all of these boxes. The next level down is my cordless nailers. So in each of these, I keep an 18 gauge brad nailer and a 23 gauge pin nailer. Because they do need to go in a very particular way, I have foam in these drawers so that they fit nicely, and it's very intuitive to put the nailers back exactly where they go. Next level down, we get into our air nailer drawer. So I can fit 4 air nailers, 18 gauge brad nailer, 15 gauge nailer, 23 gauge pin nailer, and 22 gauge crown stapler, all in one drawer. And again, you'll see I'm utilizing foam to ensure that everything goes back together exactly as it should, because having 4 nailers in one drawer, obviously it barely fits. The primary tools that we keep in these drawers is one blower and a laser. Blower, laser, blower, and then here in mine I've got 2 lasers because I like to have 2 lasers. Again, we get things mixed up a little bit. Here I've got an M12 blower, just wanted to try it out, and it still works. As we get down here to these drawers, you'll notice that these are very customized so that everything precisely fits. We've got 4 clam clamps, the exact same sander, Festool 150/5 sander, block plane, Collins tread jigs, all in this drawer, and you'll notice how the foam is all cut out to fit everything just so. That all takes time, but it works really good. And my bottom drawer is my biscuit joiner and router drawer. So we keep a palm router in each drawer along with a selection of router bits, and that works really well also. You'll notice there's some slight variation on how the bits are stored and the foam cut out between these different drawers, but it's basically the exact same. This was my original drawer. I have the bits kind of going around here. With these other newer ones, I've got them kind of stacked up with every size of roundover bit, bunch of mortising bits. The goal is to be prepared for anything that we need. Is it really expensive to outfit all of these different kits with this many router bits? Yes, it is. And it's a little bit of a gamble, but generally I find you can either pay for it in lost inefficiency, or you can pay for it up front, gain efficiency, gain a better quality product, and you're happier as you work because you've actually got what you need to do the job. Moving on to our next group of PACKOUTS. The top toolbox houses a Festool HKC in every box, as well as a cordless track saw. In this one, I have the Milwaukee track saw. These 2 others have the Festool track saw. One of the reasons I'm an advocate for standardizing not just your toolboxes, but your actual tools themselves is because you find that certain tools will only fit in certain boxes, and it's a process to figure all of that out. This was my box, is my box that I've personally used for a long time. The HKC fits nicely in there like so, but the only way you can get this TSC 55 to fit is if you drop the blade to just the right spot, and I actually don't think that that's right. Try that right there, and then you can drop it in place. There's just enough room to slide 2 dust bags in here, and the lid will close with a little bit of extra effort, but it's fine. So that works, but then whenever we add a Milwaukee track saw to the mix, the only way it'll fit in this top drawer unit is if it's on its side like so, and then it just works out that the HKC will fit. There we go. Couldn't hardly do it one-handed. It will fit, but just barely. So it changes the setup a little bit. And I find that I just prefer to have everything exactly the same because it's simpler. You're starting to pick up the theme. Find what works and stick with it. That's the secret to scaling. That's the secret to finding efficiency with multiple guys working out of multiple different tool sets inside of one company. As we move down here to the bottom stack of tools, I've got a set of consumables down here on the bottom. These house all of our GRK screws that we commonly use. As you can see, I've got everything laid out exactly the same so that somebody can come in here, whether it's my box or another guy's box, and know exactly where to find the screws, and it's not all mixed up. So we're not hunting for different things. Same thing up here. We have another box, another drawer with common consumables, biscuits, our door screws, drywall screws, and then cabinet screws. And we've got a little space for miscellaneous stuff like a remodel electric box, things like that. These next levels vary a little bit. Here, same basic layout. In each box, we've got a reciprocating saw, a drywall router, and a cordless grinder. A container with reciprocating saw blades. Keep the accessories for the grinder in here as well, wrenches and stuff like that. But it's the same basic layout. A lot of times which cordless tool model I choose depends on how it will fit inside of a toolbox. In this case, I love Milwaukee 2-drawer PACKOUTS, and this cordless DeWalt reciprocating saw just is nice and compact and fits really well in there. Are there more powerful reciprocating saws? Absolutely, but then they're longer and they don't fit in a drawer like this. Here you can see I've got the DeWalt planer, which I love. This one's brand new. The only way to make this fit in this drawer is actually to cut off the dust port outlet because it would stick out about another inch. But if you cut that off, it fits in the drawer nicely. And then this compact bandsaw from DeWalt also plops into this drawer nicely as well. Next drawer up, I keep a second cordless router and then cordless sanders as well. And you'll have some variation between these different kits. Here in Paul's kit, he does a lot of sanding on casing and stuff like that. So we use this triangle sander at times, and he keeps that always on his kit. Cordless orbital sander, this is the new one from Milwaukee. It just barely fits in the drawer. You have to get it in there just right, but it'll go. Router, and then this little dude here, another sander, which apparently has a dead battery or something. Anyways, chasing perfection on these setups can be difficult. You notice we've got different cordless sanders in all 3 of these drawers. This was my original, and I had the Festool sander. It's way too expensive and it's just unnecessary. I would much prefer to have the Milwaukee here, and this DeWalt is terrible, so I actually have another Milwaukee ordered. but things change, but we try to keep it pretty much the same so that everyone knows where things go and where to find things. This next drawer right here is a little bit more of an overflow drawer, and it can change kit to kit. So like here in mine, I've got the Milwaukee drywall saw, fantastic tool, but it's not a tool that we use enough that I'm gonna put it into every single kit, but I still wanna have it on hand most of the time. Over here in this kit, I've got the 18 gauge cordless crown stapler. This is Paul's kit. He does most of the pre-framing prep. So whenever we're doing our pre-shimming on window framing for drywall returns, he'll use this. Again, it's a tool that we use, but it's not a tool I can really justify buying one of for every kit. So there can be a little bit of variation, but for the most part, we try to keep it the same, as different guys will specialize in a little bit different things sometimes. This here is our job site consumables pack out. It holds all of the common consumable adhesives that we typically use. I've got another one of these, but it's on the job site right now. These are a little bit more cumbersome to work out of because to get into the large box underneath, you do have to take the toolbox off on top. And inside these, we have a top tray, blue tape for scribing beams and things like that, clear packing tape for miter folding, strapping tape, sandpaper, wood filler, tape dispenser, and then all of our hyper cartridges for our mitered casing are in here as well. Going down in here, hyper gun, caulk guns, large and small caulk guns, sandpaper. And then we've got a lot of tubes of adhesive down there, PL Premium, and then just standard whatchamacallit for our pocket doors, just a cheap subfloor adhesive. Window foam in there also. So we try to restock these. The nice thing is that because these boxes are standardized, if one of my guys is running low on consumables, I can simply switch out my box for his and refill it at the shop, take it the next morning, and we can keep going because the two guys that work with me now both live about 45 minutes to an hour away from home base here in the shop where I have all of our consumables. So it works good to be able to just bring these boxes home, load them up, and switch them out. Over here is our charging station with batteries. So again, I figured out what works and then I just keep copying it. So a DeWalt 4-port charging station screwed onto the top of an open top tough system box works great. And then I mount a couple smaller Milwaukee chargers. These are the dual chargers that do 12 and 18, as well as a Festool charger. So we're covered for all of our batteries in this. And then a lot of times stuff gets thrown in here, like my headlamps. They're always charging. We can charge USB and regular outlets with this large power strip. So it's just one cord to plug in whenever we're on the job site, and everything starts charging. And we can also use the microwave as well. Let's talk about batteries. It's always a challenge to have enough batteries on the job site. My philosophy is I leave a battery on my most commonly used tools, but specialty tools that aren't used that often, when we put them back into storage, we take the battery off because there's no reason to have a grinder sitting there with a battery on it when it doesn't hardly ever get used. So we take those off. That way we don't have to have a gazillion batteries. We still do have to have a ton of batteries, but hopefully not quite as many. So Milwaukee batteries in one drawer, M12 and M18. DeWalt batteries in another drawer. And then this is kind of miscellaneous stuff such as small lights, deadbolts for locking up tools, and stuff like that. Getting profitable and staying profitable in a service-based business is really hard, especially on a luxury skilled trades business like I have. it's hard to scale employees, and it's hard to scale those processes because they're so refined. But the way we use our tools, we can scale that to some degree by creating standardized systems to work out of. By equipping my guys with the best tools and everything they need, I'm setting them up for success. By creating a standardized system that's the same across everybody's tool sets, I'm setting everyone up to work efficiently. I know some guys might not like that, but where I'm at this stage, it's working out pretty well. Creating these tool systems also saves time from reinventing the wheel with every employee and every new tool set. It took a ton of time and years for me to get my tool system dialed in, and it makes way more sense for me to just keep copying it and refining it a little bit at a time at this point versus letting every employee start from scratch and create a different system and all the time and headache that goes along with that. There will probably come a day when I can no longer do this. Whenever I'm in the field and withdrawn from the field operations to the point where I no longer have my head in the game on what tools are working and so on and so forth. But right now, I'm still very much an owner-operator. I'm in the field doing the work. I know what works, I know what doesn't, and I know what my company's workflow is, so it makes sense for me to do this at this point. I didn't mention it, but I have the same philosophy on work vehicles as well. If you think it takes a ton of time to figure out how to organize toolboxes, van shelving is a whole different animal. It is totally mind-consuming whenever you're trying to outfit a van with shelving for all of these different toolboxes. And even after you've got these toolboxes figured out, then the challenge is you've got to figure out how to make them fit in your vehicle, which I've done pretty decently well. So same thing for me moving forward. I've got 2 vans in the field right now. As I keep purchasing transit, high roof, extended vans, we're just going to copy the shelving system across all of those as well. Tweak things here or there, but for the most part, it's going to stay the same. Let me know what you guys think of this philosophy. If it works for you, if it doesn't, I know it's not for everybody, but this is where I'm at, and I just wanted to share a little bit as I kind of got things dialed in for the next big job in the next new year.